in this video, we're going to talk about a word that you've probably been hearing around a lot within like the marketing and the advertising space within Meta, Google, or TikTok even, right? And that word is incrementality, right? And I'm going to explain to you what that is and why it matters and why you should care about it for your specific brand and how ultimately that determines like the success of your marketing campaigns, right? So if you've probably heard Meta, reps talking about this, Google reps talking about incrementality. And if you're relatively new to advertising, you probably like, what the heck is that, right? Incrementality is essentially a campaign or an ad that led to a specific conversion, right? Without that campaign or without that ad, you would not have gotten the conversion. That's simply how I understand incrementality, right? It's like without the specific campaign, we would not have gotten the conversion without the specific campaign, right? And because of this campaign or because of this ad, this led to a conversion. And that's essentially what incrementality is, right? And so a lot of how we use that in advertising, we want to see if a specific campaign or a specific campaign actually led to incremental conversion or incremental revenue, right? Again, which is revenue or conversion that would not have happened otherwise, right? That's essentially what incrementality, right? And so there's different settings within your Meta, within your Google that kind of helps you optimize your campaigns to be more incremental, right? So especially for like these mega brands that are spending hundreds and thousands or even millions of dollars a month, they care about incrementality, right? They care which platforms has the highest incrementality rate, or in other words, they call it as ROAS, right? And so specifically on Meta, that's kind of where we're going to focus on. So on Meta, typically when we're building a campaign, we want to build a campaign that has the highest incrementality factor to it. So there's different attribution window that you can look at on Meta, right? So when you're going into Meta, you're building a campaign, right? And so when you're looking at the attribution window, right? So Meta has a 1 day a 1 day click. They have a 7 day click, 1 day view, and they have a 7 day click, right? For the most incremental factor, you want to go with a 7 day click, right? Because when you go with a 7 day click, 1 day view, your campaign tends to be less incremental, right? Because of that view attribution that is associated with it, right? And I'm gonna explain why. If you have a lot of just organic content out there, right? And just have a lot of videos out there, and then you have a campaign that is attributed to a 7 day click, 1 day view, right? Somebody may have seen one of your organic content or any other piece of your content out there and then eventually seen your ad and converted from your ad. That is not really incremental anymore because we don't really know what led to that conversion. That could have been one of your organic content. That could have been other form of content that somebody has viewed or saw, and then eventually they saw your ad and converted from your ad. And Meta is going to attribute the conversion to that specific ad. And this only happens if you have the 7 day click, 1 day view attribution setting set on, right? And so your campaign becomes less incremental because, again, we don't know specifically if that campaign itself led to the conversion, right? Now, if you only do a 7 day click attribution, right? So that's essentially saying that this campaign needs to have led to this conversion action for it to get the credit, right? That is the most incremental factor or incremental settings or attribution window or settings that you can have within your Meta campaign to have the most incremental, to drive the most incremental revenue, right? And for brands, that does matter a lot, especially if you have a host of different platforms that you're also advertising on, such as like Google or such as like TikTok or Snapchat, right? And so brands and businesses and business owners, they want to understand where to allocate their dollars. They want to allocate their dollars on the campaigns, or should I say on the platforms that is driving the most incremental revenue, right? Because this campaign led to this specific conversion action, or this specific, this led to X amount of revenue. That's incremental. And so brands, they now want to allocate more dollars on those specific platforms, right? So that's why incrementality has become such a hot topic for these brands or for business owners, right? Now, if you're a smaller brand out there, maybe this is not something you have to care about so much, because if you're a new brand that just started advertising on Meta, right? You want to have that 7 day click, 1 day view, because the 7 day clicking with the 1 day view, that allows you to drive more conversions to Meta. Obviously, the more conversions, the more signals that you're driving to the system, right? The better the optimization and the better the learning is going to be, right? And this only matters if, again, you're a brand new advertiser, you're a brand new brand advertising on the Meta platform, and and you want to feed the data, you want to feed as much signals to the machine as much as possible, then you want to have that one day view in that 7-day click, 1-day view attribution window, because if not, then all of a sudden it becomes harder for you to drive conversion, right? And then the less conversion that you get, the less learning the campaigns or the system gets, right? And so all of a sudden you're not, your campaigns is not as efficient, right? So again, as a new brand, you want to have that 7-day click, 1-day view, but as an experienced brand that has been advertising on the platform for years and you have enough data, then you don't want that 7-day click, 1-day view, because again, that just to some extent, that just kind of muddies up your data, or it's not as incremental, guys. Hopefully this makes sense. And if you have any question in regards to just incrementality, guys, leave them down in the comment, or you can visit us at lionmediaad.com. Again, lionmediaad.com. And then you can, get in contact with one of myself or one of my team, and then we can essentially teach you more about incrementality. We can do like a full audit for your account and show you what campaigns are incremental or what campaigns are not incremental. And typically how we do this is we segment out your existing campaigns, and we segment them by the attribution window. So we'll look at the 7-day click, 1-day view attribution window, and then we see what the conversions and what the ROAS on that says. And then the next thing was like, we'll look at just the 7-day clicks and see what the true incrementality is versus the 7-day click, 1-day view. And then we're able to assess that and show like, hey, this is how incremental your campaign actually are. Now there's different incrementality test holdout that you can have, but with this, obviously you need different platforms to be able to carry these holdout tests, Guys, again, if this video was super helpful for you, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next video. Adios.